Okay, question 10. If a squared plus b squared equal to z and ab equal to y, which of the following is equivalent to 4z plus 8y? Okay, so what we can begin with is we can start with a substitution here because we want to figure out what is equivalent to 4z plus 8y. And we know for z is equal to a squared plus b squared. So let's just go and plug in a squared plus b squared where z is. So that will be 4 times a squared plus b squared. And then plus a times y, we know y is actually ab. That will be a times ab. Okay. So then we try to simplify this a little bit. We could distribute a 4 over to each term. So it would be 4a squared plus 4b squared plus 8ab. Okay, so this is what we have. And we can't really combine anything here, so that should be as far as we can simplify for that. Okay, so pretty much we're looking for the out of the answer choices, which one is equivalent to that? Okay, so there are different ways of thinking this. We could factor this. You see this here is actually factorable. If you pull out, like, if you rearrange it to 4a squared plus aab plus 4b squared, we can try to factor it. This will be a perfect square trinomial. So it'll be like the two factors should be the same after we factor. Another way of thinking, which I think might be easier, is we could just go through the answer choices and we don't necessarily have to multiply everything out. Okay, because we know, for example, if you have like a plus 2b squared, this should be, we can rewrite it as a plus 2b times a plus 2b, right? And if you multiply this out, it will be like the FOIL method, right? To do first term times the first term. See here, from just from the first term, we can tell, right? It's a times a, that will be a squared. So it won't be 4a squared, right? Just by looking at first term, we can tell it won't be a. Similarly, if you look at the other answer choices, just by looking at the first term, right? We know if you want an a 4a squared, have to be 2a to begin with, right? If you have 4a to begin with, when you square it, the 4 will be squared, so it'll be 16a squared, right? So C and D won't work because it will give us 16a squared to begin with. Okay, so just by looking at it, we know it have to be b based on the first term. So if you want to make sure, let me just, if you multiply this out, so you have 2a plus 2b squared, so it's same as 2a plus 2b times 2a plus 2b. And if we multiply this out, this should give us first term, that first term is 4a squared, plus the outside, or the outer term, 2a times 2b is 4ab. The inner term is 2b times 2a will be another 4ab. And then last term times the last term, 2a plus 2b will be 4b squared. And we combine like term, we get 4a squared plus 8ab plus 4b squared. Okay, and that's exactly what we have there. So we know B should be our final answer. Okay, so for a question like this, we don't necessarily have to multiply everything out. So look for the tricks. So whether sometimes the easiest thing to look for is sometimes the first term, and sometimes you can look at the last term. Okay, so those will be easier to think about. Okay, so for number 10, the answer should be B for our final answer.